to Inspiring Youth. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge, and this is the show that's showcasing youth and the community partners. Today we have a very special episode for you. We are going to talk all things transportation, and we have Matt Richardson and Joanna Mendoza. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Good. So you guys are part of a group called the Young Leaders Group, right? But before we get into that, Joanna, tell us how you got into the industry. How did you get into trucking?
I got into trucking because we had a couple of experienced transportation brokers join our insurance brokerage, and I was in the commercial department, so I jumped in, started to help them on the transportation book because it's fast-paced and pretty demanding, and just sort of tumbled into it head first.
Right, and we did a little clip at Gordon Foods in Milton, Ontario with you, so we're going to go to that clip and we'll be right back. In Milton today, we're talking to Joanna Mendoza. How are you doing, Joanna?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing great. So we are going to talk today about how you got into the industry, because you are in insurance with a company called Staple Insurance, correct?
That's right, yes.
So tell us your job today. What do you do in your daily routine?
Well, today I'm in business development, so my daily routine is all about helping our business grow.
Right.
I spend a lot of time online, social media, Twitter, Facebook, a lot of networking, making connections. You never know who's going to be a good partner for you in the future.
Right. Did you think the world of transportation was going to be everything that it is?
You know what? No, not at all. I didn't really know what to think. I hadn't spent a whole ton of time contemplating it, but I think it was exciting and it was fast-paced, and that was a nice challenge for me, being young in the industry.
Okay, great. And Matt, you come from a long line of trucking, grandparents in the industry, and now you're working for Kim Richardson Transportation Specialist, which is a truck training school.
Yep.
So tell us, I know how you got in, probably folding envelopes, but give us an idea about how you got to where you are right now.
Washing trucks, actually, is how I got my start on Saturday or Sunday mornings when I was, as early as I can remember, 5-6 years old. I used to go to the shop with Dad, and that's what we would do on Saturdays and Sundays was wash trucks. As I got a little older, started looking after the maintenance of our yard, cutting grass, weed whacking, things like that. And then as things progressed, got into high school, started with some different office jobs, went away to university, and then every year that I came back, I went through a different part of our training. So, one year I got my Z license, another year I got my heavy equipment certificate. And then once the schooling part of that was over, I'd work in a different part of the business, whether that be sales, management, dispatch, customer service, and kind of got to learn the whole scope of what
you've done everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we have a clip of you at the Gordon Foods shoot too as well. So we'll go to that. We'll be right back. All right. So. So you've done all of these different parts of the industry. Do you see trucking as a viable industry for young people today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing that we don't get out there enough and we don't promote enough is how many different opportunities there are in the industry. It's not just about driving or dispatching. There's so many components that are involved in the transportation and the trucking industry that the opportunities are vast and endless, really. There's lots of stories about people coming in at the driver level, working up to dispatching, then management, and then running a company.
Yeah. So do you see people looking at the industry? And both of you guys are young yourselves. What made you get into the industry? We'll start with you.
Well, I think the challenge of it, it's something new. It is a fast-paced industry. There are so many opportunities. Really, it's kind of the lifeblood of any sort of society, city. It keeps everything running, but there's so many components. There's so many opportunities.
And you work with drivers or people coming in for the license. So we'll talk about that, but what are you seeing when they come into your place? Are they just looking for that license? Are they understanding the rest of it?
Yeah, I think if you're strictly speaking on the youth end of things, the people aged 25 and under that come through our doors, it's our job to educate them on the other opportunities, because when they come in, for the most part, they really are just looking at a driving opportunity. And it's often funny to see their reactions and see their faces when you tell stories about other students you've had that have went and, again, like I said earlier, started as a driver and worked their way up through companies. And I think it's kind of eye-opening to them, and it gets them more excited for what they're about to get into.
So when they come in, because the biggest problem we have in the industry right now is the driving portion. That's where the real shortage is. So what are we doing to attract people to that? Do you see people coming in, do they think that driving is something they can do for long term?
I don't think we do a good enough job at attracting youth, especially. At the TTSAO conference last year, we had some guidance counselors in that spoke to the industry, and one of their concerns was that it's not an industry that's being promoted into the high schools, and why is that?
Right.
Instead of being a career of last choice, it needs to start being a career of first or second choice, depending on the path of an individual.
Right. So now you guys got into the Young Leaders Group. What was your purpose for getting into that? Why did you?
Well, I think for me, being young in my career and young in an industry, it was about sort of building a network and building connections and people that will be a support for you throughout the rest of your career and a resource and coach.
Okay. And Matt, you're...
Yeah, similar thoughts to Joanna. One of the things about being with like-minded individuals, of the same age or in similar type positions is there's a good chance that they're going through some of the same things that you are. So being able to bounce ideas off them, share ideas, best practices, even just to hear stories about some of the things that other young leaders have gone through that can potentially help with your growth.
Right. Now, is there a goal for the group? And I know that there's other partners, which we're going to talk to a little bit later in the show, but is there a goal as the young people of the group? I'm sure the other people will think they're the young people of the group, but I have to use you for now. Is there a goal of the message that you're trying to get through? Because, like you say, you're hoping that people will see that they're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you started, what was the actual goal for the Young Leaders Group as far as?
I think that the main goal, are networking and education for the members of the group. But then outside of that, it's also about promoting the industry and making either other young leaders or that are in the industry or people outside of the industry aware of the vast opportunities that are available within the industry.
Okay.
I think those people that are in the transportation industry right now sort of have this advantage of knowing from the inside all of the opportunity that's there. So there's definitely the awareness piece for the YLG. We want to promote transportation and the trucking industry, but the networking, the discussion, the educational component is a huge value that we can bring to members as well.
So if someone is interested in the YLG group or in the industry in general, do they reach out to you? Is that kind of how the program's supposed to work? Or?
Yeah, well, with the YLG group, it's part of it's an initiative that's under the Private Motor Truck Council of Canada, so they can definitely check out the PMTC's website for more information on the YLG. Okay. Industry as a whole, there's lots of different resources out there. The internet and social media is a great tool.
Yeah. We've got to be careful as to what you read on it. You have to know the difference between good information and bad, right?
Absolutely.
So if someone's interested in the driving portion, because there's different partners, and we'll talk about that more in the rest, but where should they go if they're looking for the driving portion? Because that's kind of where you're.
Yeah, one of the things about getting into the industry and the driving portion is you want to make sure you're going to a reputable school who's going to train you the right way. The Truck Training Schools Association of Ontario would be a great resource for anyone getting in to check out. Right. They're known as a TTSAO, but that is the Truck Training Schools Association of Ontario. And without any self-promotion, they can check out www.krway.com too. There's lots of good information on there.
You guys have all kinds of stuff from heavy equipment to driving and everything.
Absolutely.
And how about yourself, Joanna? You're in the insurance end, so how do people learn more about what you're doing?
Well, being a broker, there's the Registered Insurance Brokers of Ontario, so REBO's website, which is just rebo.com, but there's lots of different industry associations. If you're looking for sort of above and beyond just being a broker, being a field adjuster and that sort of thing, there's Insurance Institute of Canada and the Insurance Brokers Association of Ontario.
Well, that's great. And you work with Stabler Insurance specifically
I do, yes.
At this point?
Yes.
Did I say that wrong? No, okay. And so, do you guys, just tell us one tip you'd tell a young person looking at the industry right now.
That's a good one. Really, that the opportunities are endless. It doesn't have to be a career of second choice or last choice. It can be a career of first choice, and there's lots of people who have made a great living and provided for themselves and their families.